Hello.
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Good.
You
I'm enjoying a nice hard vodka and soda and relaxing.
nice? Yeah, you just had a flight all the way to Cali. Are you there for whatever?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
And then
nice.
I have some other things going on down here too after that. So yeah. So
Base.
what's up? What do you want to know about?
um. Okay, so I guess my first question. Do you know exactly what the prompt was? Because Destiny was like arguing the prompt towards the end of the debate, and I don't know if he got it right or wrong.
Was January 6th an insurrection?
Was January 6th an insurrection? Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So outside of the debate, do you believe? I'm not here to debate you on it. I'm just asking. Do you believe it was an insurrection?
Well, I'm not going to answer that for obvious reasons, but um, and you'll see why when I debate it in the future. But the the surprisingly the debate itself. It could have just been over in a few minutes, really. So in the intro, I told Destiny that I would be willing to concede that this was an insurrection if the term of it is so broad that we're just kind of including half the riots which have ever happened are also insurrections. Because just at that point, I don't care, right?
Yeah.
So if it's an insurrection and half the riots in the United States are insurrections, I just don't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, it was
So
something that he said.
I thought he was just I thought he was just going to concede it on that point, and he really should have because when we went into the debate, once we got into particulars like if hippies at Woodstock are smoking weed right on federal
Mhm.
land, and a few of them riot and they're resisting or whatever, that fits your definition. He's like, yeah, that would be an insurrection, and it's like I don't think that we would see that as an insurrection, but if that's what all you mean by insurrection, then I just don't care that much. You know what I mean?
Um.
Then it ultimately encompasses so much that that I would be willing to call basically any right at that point insurrection, just not care. In other words, if everybody's just always insurrecting all the time, then who gives a shit?
Yeah, so that's part of what
You know what I
I
mean?
had an issue with it. And when I talked to him yesterday, this is what I was trying to talk to him about, is the fact that like he kind of like evaded some questions on consistency and like shoring up his definition, and that he kept saying this crap, and he said it to you as well, where he's like, oh well, I can just, as long as it fits what happened at January 6th, then that's all that matters. But it's like bullcrap, bro. If you could literally, in that case, you could literally give the definition humans existing, and that's it. Now humans existed on January 6th. It was an insurrection. That's how I define insurrection. Humans existing,
Yeah,
so
but
it was an
that's the funny
insurrection.
thing is I asked him to do that to just concede to that point, and he said unequivocally under no circumstances will I make that concession. And then later, when it was being clarified, he basically said over and over again that yeah, tons of things are insurrections that we just don't call insurrections. So it's like I don't the debate really didn't even have to continue from the first 5 minutes of it. You could have just conceded, okay, this is really broad and nebulous, and many
Well,
things are insurrections.
that
So
doesn't that yeah, but that
what?
doesn't mean that it's not an insurrection. Like there's a lot of things. So lots of times we can use like the word murder as like a moral term or a legal term, and lots of people who like hate Kyle Rittenhouse, they'll still call him a murderer because they think he did something immoral at BLM. They'll admit he wasn't convicted of murder and that he wasn't that he's not legally going to be a murderer, but that they still call him a murderer because they think he immorally or unjustly killed somebody. And so there's things that yes, we'll say, oh yeah, we're not going to call these things this word, though it could possibly fit. We don't always call it that. And so I think, yeah, just saying, yeah, well, we may not apply the word doesn't mean that it's not the thing, right?
Yeah, but I would agree with that point. So yeah, but so what? If ultimately the definition of the thing is so nebulous and evasive that it's going to encompass, half the riots that have ever happened in the United States, then I just don't care at that point. It just becomes a meaningless term at that point.
I don't think that they are though. Like the way that from what at least this is from what I understood from the way that he was giving his definition, he was like differentiating riots from
Well, wait, hang
these.
on. We
Yeah.
gotta stop for a second because you gotta untangle two different ideas.
Okay.
Whether or not it's true or it truly was an insurrection is tangential to the point of if we were to accept Destiny's definition of what an insurrection was, that it's
Correct.
going to encompass way more than the scope of what a reasonable person would probably think an insurrection was.
Okay. Well,
So
yeah. I was gonna
these are two
disagree.
distinct points. So
Correct.
what I'm saying is that in the spirit of good faith, in my intro, I said if that is the case, if it is just the case that you have this personal definition of yours, which is so broad that it will encompass January 6th, but it'll also encompass, half of the riots which have ever happened inside of the United States, then at that point, I'll just concede the debate because I just don't care. This would make insurrection so commonplace that both sides are guilty of it, so your moral high ground is gone. And that's
So
all I cared about.
that's what I'm saying is that's what I'm saying is that I don't think his definition would encompass half the riots in the United States or even most.
Well,
I think it wouldn't. I
that's
think it would be.
hyperbole, but it would
Sure, I'm
encompass a
saying
lot.
that's what I'm saying. I don't think it. I think it would be a pretty small amount because I think it's the part where he like it has to be directed at government and that like it has to either like stop a process or like something like that. That discounts probably like over 90% of riots that
Like
have
people get
happened.
on, like really, like people block off the federal highways.
I don't know if that's actually a governmental process, though. I do think you gave a really good
What do
example
you
with
mean?
Destiny.
Yeah, I think it
I
is. I think that would be impeding a government process. So, yeah, I don't, any
I
interstate highway.
Okay, yeah, actually, okay, yes. If they're stopping like police cars from going through and like even
Yeah,
like fire trucks and stuff like that, yeah, then
yeah,
I suppose they would, yeah, for sure. I think
yeah.
you
And
gave
I
a really
think
good
so.
example with the
By the
abortion
way, this would
clinic too,
also
as well.
encompass. This would also encompass. Hang on, Tom. This would also encompass the Watts riots. It would encompass all the civil rights riots. All of those would have actually been insurrections.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a fair point because yeah, at some point they are disrupting police. Although I think even just like
by the way,
just like
the
let
LA
me
riots
I
were
want to
insurrections.
Well, I was going to say at that point, though, we would also have to start counting almost anything because you're now using police resources. And now, anytime you
Right.
use police resources within a riot, now it would be considered an insurrection. And I would assume that they would discount that somehow, but I don't know how.
Well, because there's no distinction that he made between state and federal. His definition didn't encompass
Correct.
states. So anytime
Correct.
state police are impeded, that's an insurrection against the state.
Correct. Well, I mean, I'm assuming you haven't seen my debate with him, but that was like 90% of it is the fact that he wouldn't actually engage with your questions or your hypotheticals that had to do with states, where he kept saying, well, this is January 6th. We're talking about federal. And I was like, bro, that's not an argument. Like your
Yeah, but
definition isn't about
I didn't
federal.
let him
So
evade. That's what that all the cope is because I didn't let him evade. He had to stick by his actual definition. So and he's never given one. He was
well,
clearly nervous about it. Even
he
as
gave a
he was delivering it,
definition.
he was nervous about it.
He gave a definition. It just, it just changed where he added the federal aspect to it.
Well, actually, he took it away. The guy he ripped it off from, that was actually in that definition, just so you know, Tom.
Say that again.
The guy he ripped it off from actually did include the word federal. Did you know
Really?
that?
No. Who did he rip it off from?
Destiny took that word out. He took it out.
Who did he rip it off from?
I don't remember the guy's name, but the the phrasing of it was sent over to me by one of these, fucking spurgs who endlessly hate watches Destiny streams.
Sure.
And he was like, look, at the end of this actually includes the a mandate that it be federal. Destiny took that out because he thought that may not cover the J6 insurrection. There was a part of it which covered federal that he thought would hurt his case, so he just took it out. That's why that came up, by the way. So
yeah, I mean,
it's
he
really
did.
funny too, because these dumb Coomers are and the Coomer Gremlins retarded audience. After he got blown out because he's stupid, and he decided to give the world's broadest definition and wouldn't take a concession even. As these people are coping, the most hilarious part of it for me is that he could have stalemated the board, and I would have let him do it. I told him how to do it right in my opening, and then at the end, I even, in the spirit of good faith, requested a cross-examination section where I would give Destiny 10 full minutes to cross-examine my position if I got 10 minutes to cross-examine his, and he said no. Like live. I asked him live. I said, let's do 10 minutes of cross-examination. And he said no. So I don't know how much more good faith I could possibly have been. What you don't get to do is say, January 6th is an insurrection. I say, what's an insurrection? You show me a picture of a square. They go, okay, well, that's a square. Oh, well, what's your definition of an insurrection? Well, I don't need it because I have a definition of a square. I know what a square is. So this is, by the way, this type of shit bites these people in the ass constantly, Tom, because they don't know philosophy fundamentals. They just, or they know them and just forget them when it's convenient. I don't know. But this was really just a basic first principles debate. And yeah, it was not impressive from the Coomer Gremlin, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, so I think his definition was fine for what an insurrection is. Do you believe insurrections are a thing, or
I
do you
think it's
think they're
fine,
always going to
but
be
I
too
also think
broad?
it's fine. I think it's fine for what a riot is. Like I think it's fine for that too.
So
It fits
if
three of the four criteria for a riot, and then it has an either or. So it could be this or it could be that. And
so
it's like, okay, well, if it go ahead. Sorry.
if I added like it had to disrupt processes from government officials who were elected to their positions, do you think that would change it enough to where it would not be anything that you could include, or yeah, it wouldn't sound like even yeah, most riots would definitely not be included at that point?
I'm not sure that they wouldn't be. So I'm thinking about this as you say it. If you have a politician who votes on a roadway levy and you obstruct a roadway, wouldn't that be an insurrection?
I don't think that so while they are doing something, I don't know that that's like an official proceeding. While it is something that they instructed, I don't think that any of us would consider that an official proceeding in any way, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I think I could dissect that pretty easy too. The thing is I think as we get at the heart of it, if you really want to be good faith about it, which I was, of course, but um, the opposition's going to try to brand you as anything they can because they're they can't debate or the shit. But in the spirit of good faith, if you want to talk about this, I would say that an insurrection, when we're talking about an insurrection, we're really tying it together with rebellion. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're tying it together with rebellion. And basically, every definition I've ever seen of this, from Black's Law on over, ties this in with rebellion. And so I
Yeah.
think if the intent isn't to like incite rebellion or move towards rebellion, I don't think that the spirit of the word insurrection, the essence of the word insurrection, actually applies. So in other words, I don't think a gathering of people who are trying to overturn localized corrupt laws by resisting them are insurrecting. I don't think that that's the case.
So I think a rebellion like can technically just be any way of trying to overthrow a government, whereas an insurrection is just interrupting their proceedings. So like January 6th probably wasn't a full-on coup or rebellion where they were actually trying to like engage in a revolution, but they were trying to stop a specific proceeding from happening.
Yeah. Well,
And
why
so
is this
while it is
always?
normally
Why is this
part of it,
always? Why is this always tied together with rebellion?
because a rebellion is always going to have an insurrection, but not every
Right.
insurrection is a
So
rebellion.
well, but it seems like the intent of insurrection for the most part is some kind of rebellion or some kind of like open fighting against the whatever the legitimate process of government is. And so
They
I
are
just I don't
rebelling
think that
for
you can
sure. I mean,
yeah, I don't think that you can really separate them, to be honest with you. So I think when people think of hippies who go out to, I don't know, federal land and they build a stupid ass commune and they smoke dope all day in order to flaunt federal law, and then a bunch of cops show up and get on a bullhorn and tell them to leave, and they tie themselves to trees and set some trash on fire and somebody gets beat up. I don't think that's an insurrection. That
what
doesn't that doesn't seem like that would be an insurrection, right?
what was it about your hippie example that you thought was different? Was it that it was like people who are like mostly peaceful, that it would be hard to like look at them and think that they're these like hardcore rebels, or what was it?
It's that I don't think a rational or reasonable observer would look at that, even though it fit all the criteria of Destiny's definition, and say that that was an insurrection.
Just because like conceptually it seems like it doesn't fit.
Well, because there has to be some rebellious intent which is involved with this, and that's just not present. And so
So
what's going on is these people have Trump derangement syndrome, and they're doing everything that they can in order to demonstrate that Trump is an insurrectionist so that they can make justifications for why it's okay to kill Republicans,
yeah, but
why
at
it's
that
okay
point
to
you would
shoot
disagree
shoot
with his
them.
definition, right?
What's that?
Well, at that point, you would disagree with his definition, because if the hippie example fits his definition perfectly and each aspect is actually in his definition, then that means that you would have to give like a counter definition to say that's not what an insurrection is. It would have to be this,
Why would
because
there need to
this
be a
would exclude it.
requirement of a counterexample?
Because if you're
If you tell
saying
me,
that the
Tom, hang
hippie
on, Tom,
example, yeah,
Tom,
go ahead.
wait, bro. If you tell me that a triangle is something which has three sides, and then you show me a picture of a square which has four sides, I don't need to give you a definition of a triangle. You realize that, right?
Yeah, but I think the hippie example did fit because it did have all of the elements that he put in his definition.
Yeah, and that was fine. If he wanted to bite the bullet and say that he thinks that that would fit the criteria of an insurrection, if it's that broad, um, then again, I just lose interest.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, is
there's
that
no
if he
real
bites the
there's no
bullet.
real point there's no real point in fighting that, because there's no rational human being or reasonable human being who's going to listen to that. And in fact, that's what most of the callers were calling in and saying, right? Like, wait a
Yeah,
second, dude, nobody's going to look at that and say it's an insurrection, Destiny.
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that if we look at that and we say that doesn't seem like we would actually call it an insurrection, I'm wondering, because I look at that and I think, yeah, that seems to fit like every aspect of what it is that we would call an insurrection. Though I agree that, like, yes, because they are hippies, we would think of them as more peaceful, and it kind of twists the concept of it a little bit. I'm wondering if it doesn't, if we're not, if we are looking at it conceptually, or sorry, if we're not looking at it conceptually and we are quibbling over the definition, what is the issue with the definition then that makes us think we shouldn't be able to include them?
Again, what part of I'm fine with conceding that definition are you not understanding?
No, 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 no. I'm
If
sorry.
it's
That's not what I'm
so
asking.
broad,
That's not
if
what I'm
it's
asking.
so broad, that it would encompass this thing here, which clearly isn't an insurrection, then I don't give a fuck.
Right. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, do you have do you have like another
I'm not
example of
going
what
to
you
ever give you a counter definition for insurrection, Tom. I'm saving that for a different debate. So
Okay.
unfortunately, you're just not going to get it from me tonight.
All right. I'll keep trying.
Yeah, yeah.
The so the yeah, the example that you gave, I thought it was a really good example with the abortion clinic, and I gave it back to him again and kind of just tweaked it a little bit to say like, okay, so let's say they're holding like an official's daughter hostage in the abortion clinic now. Are we gonna, and they say we're only going to, the ransom is you have to overturn abortion laws. Like, is this an insurrection now? And yeah, it started to get into like some more gray areas where it was a little bit harder. But when he answered your abortion clinic example, he totally changed it and put it like at the Capitol, now at a government building, now happening for a very different reason. And
Right. And it was a timed debate. The thing is that I would have used a different strategy, except it was a timed debate. So that was really, in many ways, advantageous for me that that Myron insisted that this be timed, because then that allowed for me to have an actual inquiry towards this definition, uninterrupted and without all of these kinds of obfuscations being presented by Destiny, which I would have to go through kind of one at a time while he's interrupting, et cetera, et cetera. But in this case, it was timed. So
yeah,
so it was actually really good because we were able to get Destiny's actual definition of this out there. And yeah, it's a totally fucking unreasonable. But again, like I said in my intro, in the spirit of good faith, I would be willing to make a concession if this is so broad that it's going to encompass all of these other things. And I gave him examples of Chaz Chop and these other various things. At that point, Democrats have been involved in insurrection after insurrection. Your moral high ground is gone. So I wouldn't care at that point if it was an insurrection or it wasn't. It just wouldn't even be relevant to me.
yeah. I one of the things that we talked about at the beginning is where he was saying that you were being bad faith by taking a neutral position, and I don't think it was bad faith, but I was saying that I think like my assumption is that yeah, your audience like actually takes the position that it was not an insurrection and that this is like a bad position to take, and that I would like expect you to take that position and argue it and defend it if that was actually the case. Um,
Well,
but yeah,
what wait, I don't understand. What part of I was willing to concede based on X criteria are you not understanding?
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. I am saying that they were saying if they're saying that it was bad faith to take a neutral position, I'm saying that I don't think it's bad faith, but just that like yes, I would expect you to actually argue the position if that was what you believed in your
But no, that actually doesn't make any sense. Even let's assume for a second that no way. I thought in any way that this was an insurrection of any kind. Um, that's actually completely irrelevant because you're receiving somebody else's definition of what this thing is. So what I think it is relevant. I'm not the accuser. He's the accuser. He's the one saying this is true. This is so based on this criteria. Okay, based on this criteria, then if the criteria is so wide that it just encompasses a bunch of shit that Democrats do all the time, then I don't care. I actually don't know how you could be more good faith than that.
I suppose I yeah, I guess. I the it you know that in this space, like I know it might be different like uh on Crucible, and I know it's different on modern day debates and on these like more organized debate channels. But like over here where we all just hop on each other's channels and debate each other, we don't ever really take neutral positions or negative positions.
Well,
It's
there is
always two
no
positives.
stop, hang on, let's back up. There is no over there. What you are a part of is a uh, group of hangers on which all ride the coattails of the Coomer Gremlin. Inside of that, there's like 6 or 7 people who constantly interact. There's there's Pisco. There used to be Mr. Girl. There's a few others. They're inside of this like little inner circle clique. Okay, that is not a representation of anybody who's inside of any serious debate syndicate anywhere. That is not a good representation of that at all. So don't get confused that you are part of a really, really teeny tiny niche Destiny orbiting fan club. And so what you guys do is you all argue based around what the Coomer Gremlin says the parameters of this need to be. And that's really stupid because he doesn't really know philosophical principles very well at all.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean,
I'm not.
I showed a clip of him explaining why it's just fine when somebody creates a syllogism using first principles, why it's okay for you to have a neutral position to go against their syllogism. He literally expressed the exact same way that I debated him, but when he does it, it's fine. When I do it, it's bad faith.
Was it against Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was monitoring that debate, and I brought that up yesterday as well. Is that, but it
what
was
he said, and I showed the clip. What he said specifically is, if you come up with a syllogism based on false principles or a false belief or a false whatever, right? This is now your syllogism. So you can have a syllogism which you have even a sound argument. The premises may not be true, right? So that would be invalid. But if the conclusion is not true, then it's unsound, right? But he literally expressed why it is that you could create a syllogism and how it could be completely false, even if you think it's true, and why it's just fine not to create any counter evidence whatsoever to question the syllogism.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of this. I don't need like Destiny to say it in order for me to know that that's obviously true. I don't disagree that yes, you can take like a neutral position and argue against somebody, and more so just say that they're wrong without you having to be right. And I don't disagree that this is a small niche community either, because
we have two choices. Two choices here, Tom. Choice one, I say, okay, nobody was prosecuted for this thing. Okay, so nobody demonstrated any evidence for this thing. Destiny's coming up with some brand new definition. It's a brand new, what he thinks is the definition of it. And then he will use some third-party source and twist their words in order to confirm that his definition is correct. So I don't need to even take a counter position. This is a new definition. Brand new. It's Destiny's personal syllogism. Why do I need to take a counter position to that? It doesn't require a counterfactual.
Well, I suppose you couldn't even know if you had a counter position until you knew what the definition
there's no way to even determine it. The only choice is to make a neutral position. That's the only choice you even have. So what Destiny wanted desperately is he wanted something to attack. He didn't want to be on defense the entire debate.
Right.
So he wanted something. He wanted something to attack, and I didn't give him anything to attack, and so it's bad faith. It's bad faith. You didn't give me nothing to attack. And so I can't make any clips that make me look like I'm super smart, even though I say stupid shit all day. Right? Instead, I get to clip him because he said the dumbest shit I ever fucking heard in my life. He's like, you can't take a neutral position. No, a neutral position's not even a position. It's the most retarded shit I ever heard in my fucking life. And I'm going to clip the fuck out of this idiot. And it's good for him. It's good for him to learn this shit. He needs to learn it.
Yeah, again, I'm not arguing his position.
It was fucking embarrassing. It was embarrassing for the guy.
I'm not arguing on behalf of Destiny. I'm telling you what my position is, and I understand those are Destiny's positions, and I said the same things to him, but I'm saying that
it's an Tom. It's an embarrassment. He should be fucking embarrassed that he doesn't even understand. And you know what's twice as embarrassing? When you pull up a clip showing that he does understand, and then he just conveniently forgets when he's on defense that this is true. tells you, no, you can't take a position like that, even though he's done it himself, and then calls you bad faith. That's fucking insane. That's over the top crazy to me. You're bad faith for doing the thing that I always do, but you're doing it to me. Therefore, you bad faith.
Yeah, so from the conversation that I had with him, and I do somewhat agree with this, is that in the debate that with Alex, the reason that we went over that part of it is because Alex was saying Destiny actually believes that that Israel hasn't committed any war crimes and that they haven't done any of these things. And so it's kind of weird that he's going to take a neutral position when now I can't argue against his ideas. He's only able to argue against mine, and this puts me at a massive disadvantage where he
Tom,
should
you
defend his
poor.
real ideas.
Yeah,
He
I
should
understand
defend
what
what
you're
he
saying.
actually
Yeah,
believes.
yeah, I get
And so
it. But
that's what I'm
Tom,
saying.
you're falling for just a classic bait and switch. In the clip, he explains a syllogism. He
Well, again, it's
uses
not
the
a clip.
word.
I was there. I'm not. It's not like
Okay,
I.
okay. He used the word syllogism. Yes,
Yes.
yes. He used. And what is a syllogism? If you don't remember offhand, look up the definition real quick of a
I actually
syllogism.
don't remember exactly. I know it's.
It's fine. It's fine. I think you know it, right? Um, but yes, philosophical words sometimes it's always better to just look up the exact definition. I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be a form of reasoning that's going to encompass your position.
Correct. Form of reasoning is going to encompass your position, right? Your position is going to have a premise. It's going to have a conclusion. That's your syllogism. Your syllogism is going to revolve around a principle or some kind of like axiom or something like this. A principle you're appealing to, an axiom you're appealing to, something, right? His exact words were, if you create a syllogism, I do not need to give you counter evidence to dispute your syllogism. So
Yeah, I
whatever
agree. You don't
other,
have to.
or so
Correct.
whatever, so whatever other context he came up with for why he did that is irrelevant because he understands the principle that if you have a syllogism, the other person does not need to give you a counterfactual to refute the problems in your syllogism.
Yeah, I agree with this. You don't have to. All I was saying was that like when I say in this space, yes, it is a niche, small little space that has a bunch of weirdos and they're all sycophants and all of that shit. I agree with all of this. It just is that yes, the norms here are that each person always takes a positive position because they're only ever debating what it is that the position that they actually hold. And then yes, when somebody from outside the space, which obviously yes, like in real debates people always take negative positions. It's a very common thing in actual debates. And so, yes, when you go in and you actually
You mean
take a
neutral?
negative
You mean
position,
neutral positions?
yeah, it's the same thing. So, like, if you have a positive position, it means that you're actually arguing for something. So, if you say, like, the Christian God is the real God, and somebody else says no,
Oh, you mean it? I
the
see. You mean inside your space, they take negative to positive positions.
sure. But anyways, yeah,
Okay.
the that like it makes sense, yes, to take neutral positions um and to argue those. It's just that yeah, that here everybody always has an affirmative position where they're actually arguing against the other person's position.
Yeah, which is fine. You can even have an affirmative position and a neutral position. So you can start with an affirmative, move to a neutral. You can be moved off a position. That's called good faith.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know what I mean? So all I needed to do in that debate was either A, prevent Destiny from demonstrating that this was actually an insurrection, which he never did. He never demonstrated it. Or B, just move him to a neutral position. I win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said your
All
goal
I
was
need is
to
I'm not sure. All I need is I'm not sure.
yeah, you said your goal was to get him to or to show that his definition was too broad and that it would apply to too many things. And
Too many different things, yeah.
yeah, I mean what I
Which
told him is
which
I was
which
like
by the
as
way
soon as you
he
added
agreed.
the
He
I was gonna
agreed.
say as
He,
soon as you added the part federal, like you kind of like conceded that point where it wasn't in your original definition, but then you add it later. Now you've added
right,
something that narrows your definition to some extent. But I
right.
um Yeah, I don't think he even needed the federal part. Like it didn't actually. I don't know, and that's where him and I got into a long heated debate. Is where we ended up started arguing over yes, what the federal aspect of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that to me is just again a tangential point. Ultimately, he had to change his definition. He had to
Yeah.
change his definition because it was all too encompassing, which is exactly what I said it would be. Move more towards a neutral position. There's no world in which Destiny won that debate. His followers concede about it for the rest of their lives. I'm sure it pisses them off, but unfortunately, when you create kind of these definitions out of the blue, you just make them up as you go. They're usually rife with holes and they're too broadly applied and they don't make any sense when you start to apply them to real life situations. That's Trump derangement syndrome, baby.
Do you think? Do you like the style that Myron came with like the 5 minute back and forths and crap like that? Do you like those better than an
Well,
open debate?
I like, no, no. In fact, I requested that this not be a time debate. I
Mm.
requested that. I requested that it just be open ended. But Myron insisted. And since Myron is a trusted moderator by both myself and Destiny, I was going to
Yeah, of
concede to his
course.
platform's rules.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I do like to do formal debates, and I like to do informal debates. That was a formal debate.
Yeah.
That was come in with your premises. I would have liked to have gotten into more of the nitty gritty and things like this, but if you're going to do a formal debate, I'm going to come with a formal position.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I said. I like that's yeah, that's literally what I said. I said like a lot of it depends on when we're talking about the fact that like Destiny's making this statement based on norms in this space. Well, they weren't in this space. They were on Fresh and Fit, and Myron did this with timed debates and like opening statements and back and forths and everything. And I was like, everything was in rounds. Like this was a formal debate in the way that it was structured, and so it makes perfect sense that somebody would come in with a formal debate
Look,
position
I
at
don't.
the same time.
I like beating people at their best. Okay, Destiny doesn't do well in formal debates. Okay, I would have vastly preferred that he was unleashed and I was unleashed and we just fucking went at it. Um, I would have vastly have preferred that. But the moderator insisted because it was their platform, they wanted to do it this way. It's what their audience expects. Fine. I'll adhere to what the moderator requests for their platform because he's trusted by both of us to
Yep.
moderate this debate.
Yeah, of
Destiny
course.
came in and he agreed to the rules. I agreed to the rules. I offered a cross examination. That was the only thing I thought was missing was a good spirit or a good faith cross examination. Destiny turned it down. Like, what do you want me to do at that point? I would have vastly preferred him at his best, which is Destiny Unleashed. But you know, we have to adhere to the platform's rules. That's how it works.
How was because towards the end you said you thanked Myron for taking it last minute. Was the debate already set up and then you guys had to switch moderators, or what happened there?
No, no, no. It just we just didn't. So I had I think DM Destiny. I want to say on Monday. It was like a Monday or a Sunday, right? I don't remember which day, but it was early in the week. And he was like, "Hey, I can do this debate with you tomorrow." And I was like, "Well, I think we'd better have a moderator." And he's like, "That's fine." And I suggested Myron, and he was like, "Yeah, he's a good moderator, and he's trusted by both sides." So Destiny kind of agreed, "Yeah, we can use moderator and Myron. That's fine." So I reached out to Myron. Well, Myron doesn't stream on Thursdays, which was the earliest I could do that debate. And so he made an exception and he got his staff together and he came in on his off day in order to do that debate. And so that's what I was thanking him for. On such short notice, he put his staff together, came in on their off day when they don't normally stream, and then, hosted the debate. I thought that that was, a mighty swell thing to do.
Well, I can name somebody who does stream on Thursdays who is also a trusted moderator
Best and worst dinner for your waistline.
that could have
Sweet
done it,
potato.
but
Try to find the
you know,
purple sweet potato.
it's all right. I'm not mad
Well,
about it.
Tom,
I'm just kidding. Just fucking around.
listen,
Just
no
fucking around.
offense. No
Just
offense
fucking
to you,
around.
bro. But you've got a really small platform. I like it
Yeah,
when you moderate.
I know.
like
That's
to
why I'm
listen.
kidding.
I like to debate. I like
I
to
know.
debate on the Tomfoolery show. I like to call in like I'm doing right now. I have no problem with that. But that was going to be a large debate.
Yeah, of course.
It's an event size debate, and so that's why that choice was made. It's not any offense towards you, but you have a smaller platform. That's all.
Course. Okay. Well, I think, let me double check my notes. I think that's all I had. Oh, I had one more question. Do you have a definition for insurrection?
I do, but I ain't giving it to you.
Okay. All right. Well. Maybe next time.
And until one of you, dumbtards actually demonstrates that this was an insurrection with some type of coherent definition that isn't triangle looks like square, therefore square, then I don't really have to say much. The burden's totally on the accuser. The burden's totally on the person making the claim. And by the way, I clipped it. I told Destiny the burden's on you, and he agreed with me the burden was on him.
Yeah. Well,
So
of course. Based on the prompt, it obviously is.
Yeah, so this insane cove that has come out afterwards, this Andrew bad faith, Andrew this, it was a formal debate. I came with a formal position, and I did the debate. There was no ad homs, there was no nothing. It was a spirited, and it was a good debate, but he lost because he was not able to demonstrate his position. So they're pissed. Very simple.
Okay.
I never had to demonstrate the counter. I never had to even prove the neutral. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't think you do. I don't think you have to. I think generally, so to somewhat, to an extent, I agree with you that if you think like everybody's using different definitions for what an insurrection is, and it's each one is using something different that kind of changes it so drastically that you don't know who's going to have what definition, or if they're going to use a legal definition or a state definition or a federal definition or a colloquial definition or a historical definition. Like, you don't know which one they're going to use.
You don't need to take a position.
Then it's hard for you to know what it is you're even disagreeing with before you go in.
Exactly. This is someone making a claim. It would actually be irresponsible for you to come in to negate a claim you don't even know. You don't even know what the particulars of the claim are. You just know that they're saying this isn't this, but you don't know what the particulars are. So that's the most good faith thing you can do, is take a neutral position and say, okay, I'm willing to listen to the particulars. And if the particulars, fit, if they match, if they're reasonable, if they comply with logic, then I'll concede.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with this definition. I think that this definition is sound and coherent, and that's probably similar to what I would use as well. But
every definition can be sound and coherent. Doesn't make it correct.
Yeah, right. So which is why, yeah, if he's saying, well, it fits. The problem is that if he is saying, okay, well, it's just humans existing, then that's my definition. It's just humans existing.
Right.
Like, what is your argument then still just, okay, well, I'm not going to prove that your argument, that your definition doesn't fit, or that another word fits better, but that yours is just too broad still?
Well, no, I'd be willing to make a complete concession as long as you actually fit it to everything it fits to. Yeah? Most good faith thing you could possibly do. As long as it fits to everything else, I'm willing to concede it. But the answer that I got to that was unequivocally, under no circumstances, no.
Well, you said, I mean, he even bit the bullet on the hippie example and everything else, and so it seems
Yeah,
like he's biting
but I
that
told
bullet.
him,
He's willing
I
to
said,
say it.
I'm happy to make the concession.
Yeah.
Right. And he said his exact words were unequivocally no. And it's like, okay, well then, if you're not going to fit it to everything that it fits to, then we have a problem. If you're willing to fit it to everything it fits to, then we don't have a problem. I don't even know how you could be more good faith than that. How is that? How is it even possible to be more good faith than that? I actually don't know.
Yeah. I I understand, like, yeah, when you're talking about like all riots and crap like that. I I do think that there is a semantic difference there, and that
And
he
semantics are important when you're having
yes.
debates, especially when you're debating around a definition, right?
Oh no, yeah, I'm not using semantics to downplay it in any way. Yeah, I'm saying there. I
Yeah,
do
so
think there is a semantic
I'm just
difference
saying
there, and that it is
if you're
important.
willing to take the cog, Tom, and you're willing to say everything that this cog fits in, um, then I'll describe the cog as X, okay? Because it fits every single time into this correct space. And it's like, okay, I can deal with that, and I'll make a concession if it does. But I'm not going to make a concession if I fit it to the places that it goes, and you say no, it doesn't go there. That's where we have the problem. That's where we have the issue. And it's like that's not only not bad faith, but that's just debate 101, dude. Really, really basic stuff. This is like if you were going to teach a 15-year-old how to debate, you would start with this.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. You got
Right?
any questions
Am I
for me?
wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. But I do think that, like, I don't know of any examples that the examples that you brought up, I didn't think actually fit, like the riot examples.
Well, I just gave
And
you a bunch. I just gave you the Watts riot, gave you the LA riots. They actually did use the Insurrection Act. Most of the
yeah,
Civil
sure, there
Rights
are
Act would
some
fall under most of the Civil
all
Rights Act stuff would
insurrections are
have
going
fallen
to be
under
a riot.
this, right? The hippie example, right? That would have fallen under this. The abortion example would have fallen under this, and no reasonable person would say that it did. And so it's like, okay, but maybe this is one of those words that encapsulates a behavior that even if people don't think it fits, it still does fit. I can even accept
Oh,
that, Tom.
I
I
would
can
say
even accept that.
I would actually say it encapsulates a negative connotation to where if we had a rebellion where we committed an insurrection and we had a bunch of insurrections, but then we actually ended up just going full-blown revolution later and taking over, and it started with that insurrection, we would never look back to that as the insurrection day. We wouldn't call it insurrection because that's got a negative connotation to it. That would be
That
like
would be our
revolution day,
Independence
or
Day, right?
yes, independence day, something like that, because insurrection has a negative connotation. And so
Again,
it's yes, so that's why they're
I'm totally willing to concede to all of that. As long as you are willing to concede things like Chaz Chop would be an insurrection. There's no way around that.
oh yeah, of
There's
course.
no way around that burning down the police stations and the BLM riots were insurrections. If you were willing to concede that the Democrats have been insurrecting all over the fucking nation long before Trump did it first, you know what I mean? Then fine. I would just accept it and say,
Yeah, there were
fine,
like
your
burning
moral
down of
high ground
police
is gone.
stations by
If
BLM
that
as
is your
well.
definition, yeah, then we're just insurrecting all the fucking time. So I just don't care. At that point, I just don't care, right? If this is just like the part of Americana is that we just all insurrect all the fucking time, then I just don't give a shit. And when Trump does it, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
just
so
don't care at that point.
yeah, I was gonna say, if they, instead of like fighting over the word insurrection, instead if they came in like the prompt is almost the definition where they say, did Trump take part in trying to stop the electoral process on January 6th by using a bunch of people assembling to run into the Capitol and stop it? Like, would that be
Yeah, well,
something that you would care
that
about?
would have been
And
a whole different. Yeah, that would have been a whole different argument. and you know, maybe we could have even made more ground there. But the thing is like what's really funny is Destiny's way out was he could have just made the concession, and I would have made the concession too. I'd have been like, okay, if that's the case, then I just don't care. But they don't want to get rid of their moral high ground, Tom. They don't want to be like, well, you see, the reason that I say it's okay to blast Trump in the face with your AR-15 and kill members of his audience is because they're a bunch of insurrectionists. They don't want you to be able to be like, but so are you, right? So no, they're not ever going to make that concession. And guess what,
Well,
Tom?
hold on.
That's what's
I wouldn't
fucking
call
bad faith. But guess
you
what,
an
Tom?
insurrectionist.
That's what's
Hold on.
bad faith.
No, it's not.
Tom.
No, it's not. I wouldn't call you an insurrectionist. Yes, most people would look at me and say that I'm like a standard liberal and that I'm on the left or whatever. But I'm not. Yeah, I'm not standing by BLM and Chaz and like riots and burning down shit. Like
I'm not
I'm not
talking
standing
about
by
you,
any of
Tom.
that.
I'm talking
And
about
so
Destiny. I'm
I
talking about
understand.
the Coomer Gremlin and his minions. I'm saying that the reason that they don't want to make a concession that, he says, so his counterpoint is any definition you give me will fit January 6th. Maybe that's even true. But the definition that you gave me fit many things which Democrats have been up to before January 6th. So if this is the case, then your moral high ground of Trump deserved it to get blasted in the face and his audience deserved to get gunned down. Your moral high ground for that, that's gone because we're all just insurrectionists now. And that's what they're ducking.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I would say I'm not an insurrectionist still. I still think I would argue, yes, both BLM and the January 6ers were insurrectionists, and I can stand here on my moral high ground.
Yeah, but you also didn't say that it was okay to gun down Trump supporters, did you?
Trump supporters.
Did you,
Yeah,
Tom?
no, I didn't.
Yeah, but Destiny did. Destiny said it was fine because they're insurrectionist traitors, Tom. So it's okay to gun them down.
Yeah.
But the second he concedes that, wait a second, we're insurrectionist traitors too, then wouldn't the reverse logic also be true, Tom?
Yeah.
That then it's okay to do whatever we want to them? No, you don't get to run away and go cry in your Coomer Gremlin skirts because you don't want to offend him. He said that it's okay to gun down Trump supporters, didn't he?
I don't think he said it was okay, but he did give like this almost implicitly passive, like fuck them sort of answer.
Don't lie, Tom. That is
fucking practically the same. Wait,
if
he said it, I haven't seen it.
Don't lie to me.
If he said it, I haven't seen it. I'm not lying. I haven't seen him say that. But if he said it, maybe he did.
He was on a call with Wick, and Wick said to him, he was like, "Okay, you think that it's okay that this happened?" And he was like, "Well, he's in a swing state. I don't give a fuck." Instantly gave the justification. He supports a traitor. He supports an insurrectionist. That's what he said, Tom. So the justification for why it's okay to gun down Republicans and our presidential nominee, you can just gun them down with wild abandon, is because they're insurrectionists. So they don't want to bite the bullet that they're insurrectionists, do they? That's why it was a double entendre. What really pisses all these DGG fucking idiots off is that if I made the concession in the spirit of good faith and he actually conceded to it, he could not then run around and say that it's not okay for Republicans to do the same thing to them.
Well,
and gun down their crowds and gun down their president because they're a bunch of insurrectionists, right?
I do think that he was kidding there from my perspective, but I understand that that's unsatisfactory for anybody else who doesn't listen.
Tom.
Yeah,
that's coke,
Tom. I'm saying I understand that that's unsatisfactory for you guys, and that's like not going to be like.
Oh, you mean
good
cope?
Enough, so.
No, it's not unsatisfactory. It's cope. Yes, he truly believes it, Tom. Why in the world can you give me a single reason why I shouldn't believe Destiny when he says that they deserve it? Give me a single reason why
that's
I
why
shouldn't
I'm
believe
saying
him.
that it's unsatisfactory, because I know that if people aim those sorts of comments towards a group of mine, I don't even care if it's a joke, because I know enough people are going to hear that and like take it seriously and follow behind that,
Uh-huh.
and it's still going to have the after effects as though it was serious. So yeah, that's why I'm saying I understand that that's like not, that doesn't actually like change it much for you, because yeah, it's going to
You
be
know,
very
Mr. Girl
unsatisfactory.
was right about one thing when it came to all of the DGG orbiters. He was always right about this, right? You guys have really fucked yourself
Oh, they
because
are
all
white blood cells. That much is fucking for sure. They
well, no,
are.
it's worse. It's worse. It's worse than that, right? It's that the the thing is that most, so just so you know, most of the DGG orbiters, they suck. They're boring as fuck. They're not interesting. Like, let me give you some examples. Take Wick TV, right? Wick TV, right? He literally looks like Igor from Frankenstein. He could take that part and nobody would think that there was a problem with it, right? This guy has no business in the political sphere running a debate show, doing anything. He fucking sucks and he's boring as shit and he has milquetoast takes. But as long as he sucks on that teat, he's going to get enough of a DGG audience that some guy's going to send him enough money to keep his dumbass afloat for another couple of weeks. And that's what
Yeah,
happens with all of them,
bro.
across the board with all of them. It's so amazing to me that you fucking people settle for the scraps from this guy's table. And they're not even good scraps.
Will you stop saying you people? I am
Oh, it's you
sitting here
too,
talking
Tom.
to you as
Tom,
well.
it's you
No,
too.
no,
It's
no, no. Hold
you
on, hold
too,
on, hold on,
Tom.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. The
This
last
is the
like
only
three times.
guy,
Hold on,
for some
let me
reason.
just hold on.
Okay,
Just
go ahead.
the last three times that I've spoken to him, each time he is like pigeonholed me as like this hardcore red pill guy or this like Trump supporter, and this time he pigeonholed me as this massive like Andrew simp that was just agreeing with everything you said. And I went in from the beginning saying I don't actually agree with
Good.
Andrew, but I
You
have
know what?
disagreements
You
with
should
you.
be,
And the whole
you know
time
what?
he's arguing
Good.
against me as though I'm you, and his whole audience now will not stop. He even conceded at the end, okay, I was messing up. Okay, you're right. That you were arguing a totally different position. My bad. But now his audience will not stop. They are still in my comments. They're still in my chat. They're still running around saying that I'm
Well,
arguing your
Tom,
positions and
Tom,
defending
you
you and all
should,
this crap.
you should, you. It would be better for you to be an Andrew Sim than a Destiny ball licker, and here's why, right?
I will be happy being
Because you're not
neither. Thank
simping,
you.
because you're not simping. What you're doing is you're saying, okay, based on logic and reason, this guy is either correct or he's incorrect. That's what you're actually doing. But you know what I noticed with you, Tom, right? And so they'll say, if that's the case and you agree with me, that that makes you a simp for me, rather than a person who actually goes with what the logical argument is, the reasonable argument is, the rational argument. They'll just say you're simping. Well, that's fine. Fuck them. They don't matter. But what I've noticed with you, Tom, is that for some reason, that bald, rational brain of yours that's in that bald skull that you have that hat on to hide, for some reason, when it comes to that Coomer gremlin, you seem to lose all reason and you begin to spiral. And you begin to go, well, you know, Destiny, I'll see this a different way. You never do it with anybody else. But for some reason, you do it with this guy. So I can think there's either one of two reasons.
To be
Either
fair
you
to
have
Andrew,
some mass
his
respect for this
worldview is
dude
dying.
that's
The left will
way
win,
above and
and
beyond
this is their
what
last
should be
breath.
there.
Their
Or
utopia isn't
B,
coming.
there's some
You'll
kind of
find him.
monetary incentive.
He got you.
I mean, I otherwise I just don't understand it. I don't get it. Can you explain it to
Did I lose you? You there? Hello?
me? There,
Yeah, can you hear me?
call you
Hello? Yeah, he calls me a simp and then he runs. That's... Yeah. So good faith. Yeah, it's Andrew being so good faith. Let me switch the region that we're in, see if that'll help the call. Alright, I switched the... Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so let me just
Yeah, go ahead.
real quick reiterate this. Why do you lose all reason and suck Destiny's balls? That makes no sense to me. You don't do this with anybody else, and I need you to explain it.
Okay, I would need an example because I don't think I do that. I think that, like, even yesterday, the fact that I'm going in and having a, like, yes, a very strong disagreement with him with things that are going to
That's
get his
content, though.
audience to
That's
come.
content.
Wait, but it's content in a way that makes it to where he, the entire time, is calling me an idiot, calling me a retard. So is Pisco. They're all saying that I'm brainwashed and that I'm this, like, crazy right-winger, right? Sure, I get content, but if I'm doing it for money and I'm doing it to appease his audience and appease him, this is a really poor way of going about it. So
Tommy went out and made a whole documentary about the guy.
well, I didn't actually make it yet, but yes, I also plan on making one on
Yeah, you
Richard
went out and
Spencer.
made an
So
entire
that doesn't
documentary
mean
about the guy.
yeah.
And yes, when you enter, so hear me out here. When you interact with this guy, it doesn't sound like how you interact with other people, Tom. And here's the thing: I can't see your chat right now. I can't see them. I'm in this Discord call. I'm in a hotel room. I'm not on your channel. I have no idea what they're saying, but I bet you fucking anything they agree with me that when you interact with Destiny, you're a different person. And I want to know why.
I don't know. I don't think I do, and I don't think my chat thinks I do either. I think that most of them hear me
Put a
disagree
poll
with
in.
Destiny fairly
Put a
often. Well,
put in
it's
a
kind of
poll. Put a
it's
poll
kind
up.
of
Put a poll
I can
up,
put a
Tom.
poll up,
Put
but
a poll up.
it is a large portion. It's at least half your fans at this point. So,
Okay, well, if my fans are in there, don't vote. But I'm going to tell you right now that I'm going to win the poll. Even with your diehards, I'll win the poll.
all right, is Tom a gremlin simp? Poll is in the
No,
chat.
that's not the question. Does
What?
Tom interact differently with Destiny than he does everybody else?
Okay, we'll start it over. All right. Because yeah, even with the way that he like his initial couple tweets about the Trump thing, yes, I was very critical of him, and I had a ton of disagreements with him on those things. And while yes, everybody was flooding in one direction, I was probably, I don't know, probably just me, and Wick was a little too far in the soy direction where he was taking a weird position, but yeah, he gave some takes that were definitely implicitly going to encourage
See, I
behavior
don't
like
get
this
this
that I
though.
was
You're
not.
a good debater. You're a good debater, and you have a good handle on philosophy. Why do you deal with these ingrates? Erudite, Wick, those guys don't know shit about any of this. They don't know anything about debate. They don't know anything about philosophy. They're just fucking head talkers. They just make the triangle head, where they make a triangle sign, and they go, "Oh my God, I just everything. I'm incredulous about everything." Why do you even deal with these people, Tom? Why
These are
did you
just the
flip your
people
Republican
who are
stance
around.
too?
Well, they'll because of Trump. The entire reason that I moved away from the Republican Party
Oh,
was
come on,
because of
dude.
Trump.
Over Biden. No way, Tom. No way.
Yeah. I mean, Trump
Are
is the
you
reason
sure
I
that it
ended up
just
questioning
that it
like
wasn't
my
just
entire moral system and everything was because of Trump.
are you sure it wasn't just that DGG was what was left for you
I
and
didn't
there
even
was a
know
pathway
DGG
there so
back.
you took it?
No. Yeah, no. When I started doing this stuff, I was doing podcasting and everything. And then I started going on Prime
Well,
Kai's panels. And then I started doing streaming like in the Twitch style because of Prime Kai's panels. And then eventually met Destiny and all of them. But I was already like, yeah, in that camp, kind of like moving in
but
that direction
these people
before.
are dumb, dude. They're dumb. They're half retarded. Why do you
Everybody
even
who's
waste your
not me
time
is
with
half
them?
retarded. So it's hard to find anybody who's as smart as me. So.
It wouldn't bother me if you just debated with them, right? But you don't. You're part of this crew now.
I don't know.
You're part of the DGG underling crew. You're part of the not so erudite Wick, fucking, once upon a time, Mr. Girl crew. What are you doing, dude? These people don't have your best interest at heart, bro. They don't give a fuck about you. Not a bit.
Dude, I'm literally just in a space where I do open call-ins, and these are the people who call in. And yes, I like anybody who calls in and jumps on and hangs out and talks or comes onto the open panels or whatever. Like those are the people who do. Those are the people who come. So it's these are the
You
people
remember
who are
back when
interested
you
in
were
engaging with
arguing?
everybody.
You remember back when you were arguing with Nazis on Politically Provoked? That was
Yes,
better content. That was better content
it's a lot
than
of
the
fun.
shit that you fucking have dealing with Wick TV and Not So Very Bright. Like, that was better content. Having Neo on and arguing with him and Brittany was better content than this garbage. I don't know why. Why are you so invested in these fucking people, dude?
I know you're making it to where I'm so invested. I don't know where this is.
You made a fucking
Come on.
documentary about the guy, Tom.
I'm gonna make a
What do
documentary
you
about
mean?
Richard Spencer too. It doesn't mean I invested in the alt right or Richard Spencer either.
Yeah,
I
well,
want to make
let me
stuff
ask you a
about
question.
online
Have you
figures.
made a single, then tell me the truth, Tom. Have you made a single shred of footage about Richard Spencer? A single shred?
I haven't made anything on Destiny either. I haven't put
Yeah,
out anything
nothing.
on his documentary either.
You're full of
I haven't
shit.
made.
You've made tons of, you have, how much footage do you have of Destiny and what you're doing? How many man hours have you sunk into this? A
A lot.
1,000?
Yeah, probably.
Has it been 1,000 man hours, Tom?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. How many man hours have you sunk into your Spencer documentary, Tom?
I haven't gotten to it yet. I want to finish this one
Yeah,
first. Yeah.
so zero. So the answer is zero.
Yeah, I guess the amount of time that it took me to talk to Richard Spencer and a bunch of the people around him and tell him that eventually I want to do this documentary and I want to interview all of them, that's the amount of time that I've sunk into it.
You become a kiss ass. You become a suck ass kiss ass, dude.
I am
Stop
not
it.
a suck ass
You're
or a
better.
kiss ass. I'm not
You
doing any of these things.
are.
And if you have an
You
example of
become a
something
suck
somewhere where
ass.
I'm doing that, I'm happy to hear it. But I don't have any examples of where it is that I'm
Okay,
doing
here's my
this.
example. Here's my example, Tom. Right? Other than the fact that you made an entire documentary about this fucking guy. The fact
Not
of
a
the
good
matter
example.
is, you're what's called a heel. Do you know what a heel is?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's somebody
that's
that
what
you
you
can
are
easily
to
lean on.
what you are to DGG. You are a heel. Your job is to go in and give what they consider to be a weak counter opinion so that they can tear it to shreds. You're the only dissenting voice which is there, and it's a moderate voice. And so what they do is they use you and they put you up on a
Tom's an
pedestal and they
alt-right
rip you to
progressive.
fucking shreds
FRFR
in
no
order to
cap.
make themselves look good. And you let them do it to you, Tom. Why do you do that?
Again, Destiny and Pisco and all of them were able to admit that they got my argument wrong and that they agreed with me. So I don't know where that's coming from because in the end, yes, if they agree with me, it doesn't sound like
After
that's
your
what they're
15
doing.
concessions that you never would have made with anybody else,
I didn't make
after
any
your
concessions. I
multiple
don't know where you're getting this
concessions,
from. I didn't make any concessions. I didn't make any
you did.
concessions. This,
You did.
no,
You
I
said, I
didn't.
can see it from your angle. I see it from your, I
Oh,
understand from your angle,
brother.
guys. I can see it from your perspective, guys.
Wait, I'm saying the same
Come
thing to
on.
you though. So that's not any evidence of me like
Because you fucking
leaning
agree
or
with
being a
me.
heel or
You
anything.
should see it from my angle because my angle's the one you agree with.
Oh my
But
God.
if you didn't agree with it, Tom, if you didn't agree with it, you wouldn't concede shit.
I'm telling you that I use the same definition as him, and I actually agree with his position for the most part. That I had some differences in the answers that he made or
You
the
lying.
arguments that
This
he
is
made.
such gutless bullshit. You agree semantically that his definition is correct, that doesn't mean that you agree that the argument is correct. And you have made this crystal clear multiple times. So stop with that's all cope, bro. When you deal with these people, it's 5-on-1. You're the heel. And you don't have to be the heel.
That's going to be the case no matter where because of the size of my audience. That's always going to be the case because I just continuously, every time I get up to like 300 concurrent viewers on average, I do something to cancel myself and drop back down to like 50 again. So
why? Because you're dealing with these Tom Tent guys?
Yes, but because there's a bunch of fucking soy lefties who are running around me tooing me and whining about dumb bullshit. Yes.
Bro, listen. But that's on you too. Why the fuck are you worrying about a bunch of dude? These guys are all fucking honestly, Tom. They're all nobodies too. They're all nobodies
for the same reason as before.
And
it's content.
you give a bunch of credibility to a bunch of nobodies who are worried about whether or not you lied about your Pizza Hut career. Who gives a fuck, dude? Who gives a fuck? Why are you wasting your time with any of this? You actually have some kind of good grounding for understanding philosophical debate. And you're worried about a bunch of fucking losers talking about Tom Tent and some chick named Sassafras. Who gives a fuck about these people, bro? What are you doing?
It's content. It's fun.
Yeah, it's content. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. It's fucking content. But anyway, I'll leave it there. And you have a good night, man. I hope I was able to answer your questions. And you're always welcome on the Crucible. And, you know,
I mean, you didn't answer what an insurrection is, but I appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
Yeah, but Tom, did I need to? No. You ended up agreeing with me anyway.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Have a good night,
Have a good night. Later. Hey, this is what I'm talking about. Is like literally everywhere I go. Destiny's fucking audience is all telling me that I'm an Andrew simp and that I'm like this fucking crazy right winger, or Destiny's gonna tell me I'm a fucking red pillar or whatever, or you know. But then these people come in and I'm this fucking Destiny simp and all this shit. Wait, did he actually make an argument? He didn't want to give a definition. He said he has to save it for something else. You can't win, yeah, no. You just need to argue that it was an insurrection. Hey.
Oh, okay. We're safe from Peace Cone here.